Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, it's an all-Pundit show with Fred Lokken and Randi Thompson for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Hello, is this D&D Roofing?
Yes, it is. How may I help you?
You did such a great job on my roof. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner.
Oh, can I speak to your supervisor?
Sure.
How may I help you?
I love your work. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner. We're all owners. Well, that's why at D&D we work so hard to keep your home safe and sound.
Oh, no wonder.
D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal. Local, employee-owned, here for you.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday, trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're pleased to welcome back to the program Randi Thompson. She's the Nevada State Director, if I can say it properly, of the National Federation of Independent Business, and Fred Lokken is Professor of Political Science at Truckee Meadows Community College. Pleasure to have you both here. We're taping this on the morning of Monday, March 16th, so people will have a time frame. Fred, Truckee Meadows Community College, like all the schools across the state, shut down.
Yes, and actually, as you can well assume, planning has been very flexible and fluid, but the changing conditions have really warranted us. We had hoped for a longer period of time before we went fully online or remote, but in essence made the commitment that the University of Nevada did at going as of March 23rd.
Okay, and you were pretty much already set up to be able to do this, correct?
Yes, actually, we started our first online classes in 1999. Almost half of our enrollment at TMCC is already generated through online enrollment. So our full-time and part-time faculty very much are aware of the environment. We create a shell for every class every semester, even the traditional ones, and so that part of it has been in place and is ready to roll.
Randi, I'm sure your phone has been ringing off the hook all weekend in terms of businesses contacting you and you contacting businesses. What has been the discussion so far?
Well, consumer confidence is down and so is business confidence. No shocker there. I think if anything, it's the small businesses. I personally own a small business myself. You're making those plans for if we need to shut down, what do we need to do? Brett Sutton, who is a lawyer, Sutton Hogg law firm, they're actually doing a seminar for us on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, that for $75 you can call in and talk to lawyers on what to do, how to plan, everything from how to treat your employees, what if your employees come in sick. I think the paid leave aspect is going to be huge if the federal government allows for smaller companies to dip into it. I think I'd love our state to be able to offer unemployment insurance for a temporary sick leave, something like that, for a time of crisis like this. I think mostly it's just what do I need to be planning, and then what's the liability if I stay open? And that's, I think, what I'm frustrated is, we've got all this snow and now I can't ski. Close the lodge, let me ski on the chairlift because it's a cold out, I'm outside. So where do you balance out safety with just let's keep somewhat normalcy in our life?
And you brought up an interesting point, which is, the concerns about the legal aspects of actually staying in business. If you choose to stay in business, and the potential here is that you might be shut down.
Well, and you come and sue me because you got coronavirus, you come and sue me because you got the flu. Either way, you came to my business. It's not my fault that you got sick if I've taken all my precautions. But I also just don't know if anybody's really going to go that far. I think a lot of the reason people are closing is they're concerned about litigiousness. But I also think that a reasonable judge out there would say this was a crisis and you don't get this option to try to sue because you contracted or didn't contract a disease. But I think if we're all taking, I look at my small business, we Lysol everything and we take precautions. We've been doing that for years because that's how we keep our place safe and healthy. So I think, if anything, we're all becoming a little more aware of how better to operate during flu season, period. I mean, this is not that much different than a flu season.
Shannon Pierce from Fenimore Craig is going to be on the program later this week and talk about some of these legal issues, and we'll get some perspective there.
Good.
Fred, the governor, I don't think to any great surprise, shut down the entire K-12 school system, not just for public schools, but for charter schools as well. Your thoughts on that?
Well, again, I think it's the right thing to do. It's a proactive approach. And the reality we know is China. China, start to finish, was about a 3-month process. And what we learned from them is that they were not proactive. They tried to hide it for the first X number of weeks, and then they were playing very, very dramatic catch-up. So the idea right now is to try to get ahead of it. And if we do, we flatten the spike, and we very much narrow the period of time that we'll be dealing with this outbreak in society. We are in training for the 21st century. This will not be the last, and we are going to see more frequent interruptions like this. So we need to pay attention and learn from this going forward. But I think the right advice is out there. I think the national government probably has to start coordinating the states to a greater degree. This is a flaw of the federal system. It can't handle all problems. The pandemic is well beyond its borders. But we're starting to get synchronized, and the better job we do, the shorter time we're going to be involved in this.
And this is not the first pandemic of its kind that we've ever experienced. H1N1, swine flu, I mean, the list goes on. So it's not something that we haven't experienced before. But it's a much more dramatic response this time. Do you feel that part of that is due to the amount of news coverage that we have versus what we had, say, 20 years ago, the amount of social media coverage, and the poor information that's out there combined with the good information?
Well, if you look at what Obama did under the swine flu, or avian flu, whatever, H1N1, he didn't call a national emergency until we had 1,000 dead Americans. We have 50-something right now, and people are criticizing the president for calling a national emergency. So I think what we're doing is correct. I mean, it's really easy to sit there. I don't know anything about emergency planning, so I am not going to criticize anybody for what they're doing. I appreciate whatever they're doing. People stealing toilet paper is another thing, which I think people need to be acting a little more rationally. But we have handled this in the past. We have, and the Whittier Trust gave me this stock market picture of the stock market after every major outbreak and you just see it going like this. I mean, we will recover. If you look at South Korea, they've probably done it the best. And I think we're all, now people are looking at how South Korea did it. They did these drive-up testing, and they're getting out there and they're getting it done. What's happening in Italy is that Italy has, before this started, they had shuttered hospitals. They have had 10 years of socialized medicine where their hospital system was in terrible shape. So you can't look and say, oh, this is happening in Italy, it's going to happen here. We've got to look at every country is treating healthcare very differently. And I feel that we are in a much better position because we are trained to be more responsive. I just want people to be a little more responsible.
Well, in your point of what's changed, I mean, the news was there for previous events,
yeah,
doing the job that it needs to do. It's the best vehicle for informing us, and it does try to separate the bad information from the good. But what is different is social media, and a lot of the panic, a lot of the false information is just spreading like wildfire. I will blame that for the serious runs on toilet paper and other foodstuffs. We're preparing for the apocalypse, apparently, not a 4 to 6, or possibly 8 week at most pandemic period. And that's unfortunate. We're still trying to get our hands around social media, but it sends a lot of fear and a lot of false information out there.
Mario Cuomo was on 60 Minutes this past weekend, and he was talking about that we're not trying to cure the virus. What we're trying to do is slow down the rate of infection so hospitals are not overwhelmed.
Right.
And so for example, in Nevada, we are not seeing hospitals overwhelmed at all. In fact, a lot of them are saying, hey, we could get rid of all the people that are coming in here for elective surgery and free up half the beds if we needed to. So that part is not a problem, but you can't end the virus, but you can slow it down and get a better handle on it. So the medical systems are not overwhelmed, and they are not overwhelmed in Nevada at this time. And I think that's really important to get that word out there so people aren't concerned that they're not going to be able to get into a hospital or see a doctor if they need to.
Precisely. In fact, I don't think, at least for us in Northern Nevada, they're not even hospitalized. The cases we know of have now been put into self-quarantine, and that's working extremely well. But they're on the East Coast and in that epicenter of New York, they are beginning to max in the hospitals. They're running out of respirators. We're finding that we have these shortages that in some cases are artificial. There are apparently some stockpiles that the government has, that there are other items. We're getting shortages of masks, for instance, for healthcare professionals. Those are the things that are making this irritating and I think a lot more nerve building. We just don't seem to be on top of this yet.
Well, and part of the problem with that is that, first of all, unless you're a medical professional, masks are really not the solution. They are not going to help you. I mean, they're mostly for one use only, and so if you're getting a mask, putting it on, taking it off, putting it on, taking it off, that's not going to help you. And this panic buying is just absurd. There is no shortage of toilet paper in this country. There is no shortage of hand sanitizer in this country. What there is a maximum of is people buying stupid amounts. Because this is not the apocalypse. It's something that, for 99% of the population, if they actually catch this virus, they'll be down for 4 or 5 days and then back to work. Yes, there are going to be some people who get very sick. Some people are going to die. But that's true of the flu. That's true of the common cold in winter situations. So.
No, I agree. I mean, I had a friend who was tested negative, but out of a hyperabundance of care, they're checking it all. But the people are sick from the regular flu. I mean, we lose 20,000 people in America to the flu every year.
32 million people infected with the flu so far this year.
Yeah, and this is not, we're not seeing the numbers. What we're seeing is it's a virus that we can't infect you or vaccinate you from, but this is not a community that vaccinates anyway. So it's surprising that that's the issue. But it's a flu bug. It's a bad flu bug. But if you don't, and I look at it this way, is if you're going to catch the flu versus to catch the coronavirus and you're already impaired, you're in trouble.
The data, Dr. Fauci this weekend suggested current worst case scenario thinking is maybe 1,700 deaths for the United States when it's all said and done. We're already at 23,000 for the flu this year, sometimes as high as 60,000 a year when we have bad flu outbreaks. And so I agree entirely, it is completely out of context. The problem though is that we still don't understand it. Even though it's gone through China and it is now dominating throughout Europe, and yes, it's done in China and it's done in South Korea, we still don't quite understand any of the indications of how long you're contagious, how long this virus is surviving. Often we have more data by now. We have more science, and we just don't have it this time.
But part of the problem is that it's being treated as the Black Plague, and it's not. I mean, and sad as 1,700 deaths are, if you compare that to how many people die per day of a heart attack or in a car accident, these numbers are small by comparison, wouldn't you agree?
They are, but again, localized. Poor Washington State. It had it at least 6 weeks before anybody knew it existed in the United States, and it is as a beachhead up there. As of today, they have health professionals in critical condition in the hospitals. Remember that the doctor that is the whistleblower in China that told us about this died from this. And so there are no understandable patterns to this, but repeated exposure apparently is not a good thing either. And so we have to learn as quickly as we can, and social separation remains the best way in a large society to make sure it doesn't spread as quickly.
Okay, so that brings me to wordplay. We have all these different words now. Instead of saying stay home, okay, or don't get close to people, we're using phrases like social separation and quarantine.
Social distancing.
Aren't these scary terms by comparison with just stay at home for a couple of days?
Yeah, what happened to the word shelter in place? I mean, that's what you do in a disaster. So.
And you work for the Red Cross, so you
exactly,
would know.
I did. I worked for the Red Cross years ago. But I mean, just be smart. If you don't feel well, don't leave your house. And yes, stock up on some soups and some orange juice and some popcorn and
But not 100
Netflix,
cans.
But not 100 cans. Yeah, I mean, it's just be reasonable, be rational. But this is that flight or fight kind of scenario that's kicking in. I remember I was out of the state on 9/11. I was actually at a conference on learning about crisis communication in the middle of a crisis communication seminar when 9/11 hit. And I watched two of my colleagues jump out of their seat and run. And they got in their cars and they drove across. We were in West Virginia and they drove back to Idaho because that was that flight or fight. I'm like, I'm going to stick around and see what happens. And I stayed on the East Coast for about 3 weeks before I finally got a plane out. So it really depends on the person's attitude. I'm fighting this. I'm going to be rational. I'm going to go get some basics at the store. I'm going to stay home and watch more of Stranger Things on Netflix. I mean, that's just being rational. I'm still having a dinner party. I had a dinner party Saturday night. I'm going to have one on Tuesday night because probably no bars will be open on St. Patrick's Day.
And I do want to make the point here for anybody that might be confused. I don't want to diminish anybody dying of anything.
No, of course
That's
not.
a terrible thing. But we just need to have a reasonable focus on what's really going on. Let's take a break. We'll come back with more after this timeout.
Tamarack Junction is South Reno's hotspot with over 450 of the latest slots and video games. Sully's Sports Bar, the Dining Car Restaurant, William Hill Sportsbook, and the Tamarack Steakhouse and Lounge. We're just north of the Summit Mall in South Virginia.
Yeah.
Ahern Rentals began as Signal Gas Station on Las Vegas Boulevard. Founder John Ahern grew the business by offering rentals. His son Don built on John's legacy, growing Ahern Rentals into the largest independently owned American rental company, with 89 locations in 30 states. Don also brought his experience and vision to equipment manufacturing with Extreme Manufacturing and Snorkel. Today, Ahern Rentals continues to bring its family values to a new generation. Learn more at ahern.com.
Hi, I'm Eric Robnett, owner of Home Energy Experts. Has this ever happened to you?
Honey, did you remember to turn down the thermostat?
Forgetting to set the temperature? Not fun. We can help. Our new smart thermostat keeps the temperature set for your comfort all by itself.
I'm feeling hot now.
To increase your comfort, go to homeenergyexperts.com for details. That's homeenergyexperts.com.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
The Tamarack Junction Steakhouse is known for signature steaks, handcrafted cocktails, and world-class wines. Join us Thursdays and Friday nights from 4:30 to 6:30 in the Steakhouse Lounge for live music, gourmet plates, and well-priced wines, just north of the Summit Mall on South Virginia.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Randi Thompson and Fred Lokken. You were going to make a comment there, and I stopped you until the camera was rolling.
Yes, I don't know why you stopped the camera. Under the circumstances, I was just making the point that in any crisis, 9/11, we saw people that just really stood up and knew how to get us to a point of confidence. We're seeing it again. Ironically, this time, from the national level, the leadership in the CDC, someone like Dr. Fauci has just been amazing. They've been on there. Every major news affiliate has some doctor that's just there answering commonsensical questions for us to calm us. But the state governors, a number of them have really stood up and showed what leadership looks like. In the process, although they're talking primarily to their own state citizens, the rest of us are listening and saying, well, somebody's getting a sense of what this is about, and they're trying to help us all get through this. And I think that that's one of the beautiful things about a crisis, is that you do see these individuals that sort of come to the top. The cream comes to the top.
Randi, we all lived through the financial crisis in 2008, and this is creating its own tornado of financial crisis. What advice do you have out there for businesses? Because I remember you and I talking back then about businesses that had lines of credit, that the lines of credit disappeared, even though they had good credit, and weren't able to get credit. It looks like the government is trying to free that up.
I think people need to understand this is not a financial crisis. This is a health crisis that has a financial impact. a short-term financial impact. I look at this as if you are, and luckily I think a lot of businesses have been in a very solid place. This is probably the best time for a crisis to come when it comes to how strong our country is financially. I mean, ignore the stock market. I look at that as, hey, there's going to be a lot of good stocks on sale in about a month. But it's a short-term impact, and the government is reacting. The Fed lowering the rate on Sunday, and making up putting out $700 billion into it. We've got banks that have liquidity. If you look what happened in 2009, you had banks who were not getting mortgage payments. People just stopped paying their mortgage by the millions. That was the financial crisis. We are in a good position financially to weather this storm, and it'll be a short-term storm. If we didn't have South Korea and China as an example, I'd be worried. But we've seen them coming down, and we will get through this. And I think this will be maybe a 3 or 4 month recovery process, and that's it. We will be back to normal.
Fred,
I fully agree, and it is the problem of the market not. Rarely does it indicate the economy anymore. I mean, there's so much manipulation in the market.
Tesla
anyway.
at 900?
Yes.
Give me a big break.
But down 87 this morning.
Well, it's down to a normal level, like $400.
But that's it. But I do agree, and I think that what would come out of this would be ideally some of the things that we've been waiting for, like some sort of an infrastructure bill that would help to sort of re-stimulate the economy. Certainly, they're talking about possibly a payroll tax holiday, and it's now this morning talking about possibly a TARP-like solution, which did work after the 2008 collapse to bring major businesses back online, so we didn't have as much disruption. So we have the creative tools out there. We're seeing a spirit of bipartisanship in Washington to work this in a
little, not much, but a little.
Well, and it's on both sides, as we well know.
Yes.
And so the finger, it's a circular firing squad for American politics these days. But the reality is that they realize how important it is to do these things, and so we're doing the right things. The Senate gets in the session today and does the right thing, then we'll be back on track politically.
All right, one more break and we'll be right back.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. At Design Outdoor, we specialize in all hardscapes, pavers, and walls you'll need for everything, from wonderful small yards to full-blown outdoor living. And we only refer the best contractors to make your vision a reality. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
I'm men's rights attorney Marilyn York, and because I represent men in all family law matters, women often call me gender traitor, woman hater, and even disgusting. So why represent men and target myself with these offensive monikers? It's simple. Children with fathers in their lives are 6 times less likely to drop out of school, 15 times less likely to go to prison, and 5 times less likely to commit suicide. So ladies, you can hate me, but please love your children more than you hate their fathers.
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor, full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. A lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Randi Thompson. She's the Nevada State Director of the Nevada.
That's a hard one for you to say.
It is.
NFIB. Most people know it's just NFIB.
There you go.
Just take out that part.
Okay. And then Fred Lokken is Professor of Political Science at Truckee Meadows Community College. We've got a couple of minutes left. Quick notes on the debate last night.
Okay, so the debate between the two guys. Really? Democrats, that's the best you could do? CNN, kind of prime time on a Sunday night, one advertiser. Gotham Steel Skillet. That was the only advertiser last night. Just shows you the enthusiasm for that debate from the advertising world.
Well, for the 5 people that were watching,
exactly.
Probably they were maybe
cracking
interested
up going,
in skillets.
that's the only and they had one advertiser. That was it.
But there was nothing but bad for that. I was surprised that there was every desire to see it get canceled, period. Much less, I think, on the Democratic side, a wonderment that Bernie is not out of this by now. The reality of it's no longer the brokered convention coming. But they dodged a bullet last night on that front. And the headline, of course, Biden's commitment, it seems, to a woman as a running mate. Possibly one that has already run for president. That's sort of has food for fodder.
But no equal commitment from Sanders for a female.
No, he did.
Oh, did he say that? Oh, okay.
According to the New York Times this morning, that.
He didn't come right on and say right then and there, but yeah.
But doesn't it astonish you that in 2020 we're still thinking that's news?
I know, really. Yeah. Yeah.
No one's won yet. I mean, you got a glass ceiling in the place.
Well, apparently so, but Lord knows it's time.
Yeah.
Both of you, thank you very much for coming in today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back. A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hi, my name's Marilyn Miner, and I'm sure you'd agree that Nevada's a very special place to live. I was born here, and my husband and I have raised our family here. I feel it's a privilege to live and work in the Truckee Meadows. I especially enjoy helping my clients reach their real estate goals. Sometimes the smallest details provide the greatest satisfaction. I'd be complimented to talk to you about your next move.
Call Marilyn Miner at Dixon Realty, 742-1280, or log on to marilynminer.com.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
You can now watch Nevada Newsmakers on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search for Nevada Newsmakers and become a subscriber. We'll see you on the next broadcast. Thanks for watching and listening.